Hello, and welcome to the Games of Divinity, a Northern Chronicle. A Northern Chronicle is an exalted 3rd edition game set in the northern direction of creation. Join us as we follow the adventures of the monster hunters Atlas, played by Lauren, and Ursa, played by John, with Becca as our storyteller.
Things go silent as we first come in again, or at least quiet down a little bit.
They recognize you, and it's kind of that they kind of look, and then they quickly go back to their game.
I think I would like to play games with somebody.
Okay.
So I'll sit down at a table with some...
You notice a table where, one of the dice tables where a man gets up to go take a piss. Hold on, guys, I gotta take a piss. I'll be right back. And kind of like stumbles, hits one of the beams that comes down from the top of the roof, and continues to walk in a direction.
I walk over to the table he's sitting at, and I sit down, smile at the guys, and say, I don't think he's coming back anytime soon.
Most of the group, these are the mercenaries, one of the mercenaries at the table, and they kind of take it aback that you just gracefully sat down in their companion's seat, but then the lead guy kind of leans in and goes, well, buy-in's 10 if you're interested.
10 dinars.
Sure.
10 dinars. Any of you have 10 dinars? Really? That's how many months worth of wages? Sure. Apparently I have 10 dinars to wager.
Oh god, he's playing games again.
Alright, so you don't notice they're, obviously they were the guy was trying to be like, you need to go away. Again, your character doesn't notice that, and you're just like,
So what's the game?
We're gonna play craps.
Okay.
So that's easy.
In the meantime, Ursa's either going to drink or offer to help Bridget with any sort of manual labor she needs done.
I need a cow
For the
lifting.
evening. Simply because of the fact that he'd rather be exerting himself or getting drunk rather than throwing dice. It's not his thing.
To be fair, though, getting drunk will require a lot of drinking, and I've paid for you for quite a while, so have fun.
I know. And he's also willing to work for additional booze, so there's that.
Additional booze.
You make that mention to her, and she goes, hold on a second. She comes back with one example of a harness, effectively, yeah, and a whole bunch of leather material that you can, that's ready to be made into that. And then she puts down another pitcher in front of you with some tools and goes, I need 3 more of these.
Let's give it a shot. I'm also going to spend 2 motes for excellency.
From your personal?
Personal.
Okay.
Yes. I'm not planning on glowing while I make purchases.
I figured, but 4 successes?
Yes.
Okay. It'll take you a couple of hours, but they're going to be very, very nice replicas. Even better than the one that she gave you originally. Much more hardier, excellent craftsmanship.
Yeah. And, making those over the next 2 hours, he gets the motes back too, so that's kind of nice.
Exactly. So you're going to be busy doing that for the next little bit. And,
Yep. So they just see him sitting there at the bar doing leather working, occasionally drinking from a pitcher.
Which never seems to empty, because I imagine Ursa just kind of gets so focused on what he's doing with his hands that he doesn't know Bridget switching out.
Yeah, he doesn't notice. Yeah, he's very zoned in on his work right now.
Gotta keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, it's a great way to keep him out of trouble, actually.
Alright, let's go ahead and grab some D6s.
Oh, you guys are just going to straight up play craps at the table, okay.
Yeah. Just a round or 2.
That hits at a dark pass for Becca. She knows how to play street craps. Just putting that out there.
I really know the regular kind.
Okay, so you're going to roll 2d6.
Okay.
Whoever's going to have the higher number is going to be the caller. So we're rolling to see who gets to roll. I have 7. Okay. So, and that works out. So I'm just going to be one of the table. The guy that was like, it's 10 dinar or something, is going to call. So it's a dinar to buy in, and he's going to say that the bet is another dinar worth. So, you do that pretty easily. I roll my first number, And then, depending on what it is, if it's 7, he'll win the pot right there. If it's a number other than 7...
It sets the point.
It sets the point, and he has to get it before the 7 hits again.
Okay.
And then, if he sets the point, but then rolls a 7, everybody else wins. So you everybody put in their dinar to buy in.
Put 2 dinars in, so I do that.
We'll just keep it simple. Alright, so 9, so that's the point.
Okay. So then I don't add more or anything, I just let it ride?
Yep, you just let it ride. 4, 5, 7. Alright, you guys win.
I get 2 more dinars.
Basically. Well, we'll keep it simple. Alright, roll again. We're going to see the rolls.
You.
Oh, okay. So the other guy goes. He's feeling really good after that last roll, and he's gonna be like, y'all put in the dinar. He's gonna go 5 dinars.
I'll put in 2.
Okay. So
the winnings from last time, so if I lose, I break even.
Okay. So, and then you have the other one to buy in.
Okay, so it's 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Alright, so 5's point. 10. 8.
7.
7, alright.
Yeah, I win 3 more.
You win 3 more.
So I'm up 5.
You know, and this is taking more time as, you guys are taking turns around the table and beer's being fed in. And that guy has not come back. You were not wrong about him. At that point, food has been...
I already ate, but food's been served for them. And after, I think, in preparation of that 3rd round, I'll talk a little bit. And So, you guys are obviously well-traveled. What have you been seeing out there? Are the roads clear? Are there bandits? Are there any problems? Are there any warring kingdoms?
That's what
What's the news?
You're getting in. Okay. Yeah. So the guy that... We'll just say it's a conversation between you and the table, but I'm going to boil it down to the one guy who
that's how social group conversations should work.
The road's been pretty clear, and clacking of dice kind of going. It's actually been a pretty cakewalk recently, what with the Dynas coming in and more out of this region.
Are they securing the area?
A little bit.
Makes it easier for you, right? Just collect your wages and hang out.
Occasionally we see the wild animals on the road, but I mean, there's nothing of real note here.
Quiet region. You guys working for the guild? Yeah. Hey, it pays the bills, right? Nothing wrong with that. Man, you guys seem like the most heavily armed people in town, so I wasn't sure if it was the guild or you were working for the headman. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just curious. Well, I'm setting out tomorrow, going on a hunting trip, so I want to make sure I could win the 5 dinars from y'all tonight. Cash out, and you guys have a good night.
Alright, so you're going to leave it at that?
I won 5 dinars. That's 5 months worth of food and drink for an entire family.
They kind of see you get up and leave. So we'll say that was probably 2 hours worth of time. Just kind of boil it down. But they're sitting there grumbling as you're getting up and leaving because you're taking their money. And they're not
gambling.
Happy
It's
about
literally
that.
what gambling is.
They're very not happy about that.
At this point, he's probably putting the final finishing touches on the last harness. He's like, here you go. Should last you a good while.
Thank you. This is amazing. She's kind of testing the durability of it just with the simple tugs. And then another picture.
Materializes.
Yeah.
She pulls it out of her pocket. Bonk. It's not physical.
Well, I'm assuming he was kind of sitting at the bar.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm used to the concept.
Gotcha.
Used to hunt things other than monsters. Gotta learn how to make stuff out of hide.
Well, if you ever get tired of monster hunting, you could use a good craftsman like you in this area.
Tell you what, if a tyrant lizard cripples me, I'll come back and be the leather worker.
She looks slightly horrified by that comment.
Because at that point, he won't be able to fight
right.
Yeah.
Or at least he will be limited in his ability to fight.
You guys basically made your way to the back of this long house. Front area is the dining area, and then towards the back of that, there's the bar and the kitchen, which is, I would say it's probably all just open. And then behind that, there's rooms to kind of go around to the kitchen area. Being blocked off with curtains would be just cots in the back.
That sounds fair.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's where you guys would be resting. Now I'm going to say it probably takes you guys a while to fall asleep because of how rambunctious it is out there. Rambunctious.
Yeah.
Children can't handle their liquor.
I'm sure rambunctious is a word.
I would assume that your guys wake up fairly early, like rising sun kind of people.
I think so.
Like the first...
Rise of the dawn.
If you're okay with this, I'm just going to say...
I don't get up till the zenith.
I both love and hate you guys. It's great. I'm okay saying that for your character, it's like the sun first snaps up over the horizon and it's just, boom, you're awake.
Pretty much. I'm so proud of that.
Good, you should be. You guys wake up with the dawn and there is kitchen, like the kitchen workers are already at it. You can hear and smell the meats and the bacon of morning breakfast happening. And all around you, cots are filled with loud snoring, smelly men.
I was going to say, I'm not really a thief, otherwise I would loot them all. I go to the main room, check my stuff, make sure everything's with me, and then go sit down at a table.
I'll already be up, probably.
Okay.
Like, at a table, eating another cauldron of stew.
Bridget had warmed it over the fire when she heard you rustling around.
Much appreciated.
Last night, it was almost stifling warm in the log house. This morning, there's quite a nip to the air, just as the heat evaporated over the course of the evening and into the morning.
I'm sure the common room, however, is quite hot when you have that many sleeping men in one room. So I sit down at the table and basically order breakfast and verse lightly and eat it and get ready to go.
You brought out a plate of eggs and bacon and bread.
Breakfast of champions.
The bread is, however, not warm like it was yesterday. It's from a loaf last night.
So take the loaf, bite into it, a little disappointed, hold it over the fire for a minute, roast the bread. Much better. Crisper, more like toast. Anyway, eat the bacon and the eggs and then come outside. Look around for Ursa. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Even,
not hard to spot.
Even I'm not dense enough to not notice him. Alright,
which makes my stealth rolls all the more impressive.
That's true. Alright, so breakfast and then go outside, find Ursa and be like, let's go to the woods.
It is not raining as much.
Oh, it's
it's
just sprinkling.
Still raining, though. Whereas last night it was buckets, this morning it's soft misting.
It smells nice. As I go trudge through the mud to the woods.
You guys pass several of the shops. Really, most are still not open at this time, but the forge for the city and for the area in general is already, the fires are being stoked, and it's kind of one that it's on the main road, so you walk past it and you hear the loud clanging of the blacksmith making materials. But other than that, it's pretty activeless.
Okay, so we're walking towards the woods where we came in last time. Mm-hmm. Get out of sight. I will then begin casting a spell. I will cast Skin of Bronze, Invulnerable Skin of Bronze. It lasts for 1 day, so it says 1 day, which I take to mean 24 hours from the last time that I cast it. Assuming I cast it around the zenith, then I would basically just keep it consistent.
Okay.
So that costs me willpower to cast, and it's sorcery motes, which are different. They don't track like normal motes, so... And then I get a willpower point back when I complete it, so basically it doesn't cost me anything to cast, and then I summon the Agata.
You know what I put up with?
You can have me roll for how long it takes,
No,
how many
fine.
rounds it takes me.
How long have I been playing games with you guys again, Becca?
Almost a year now.
He's gotten used to me. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, I know. I expect it now.
Might he even be disappointed if I do not?
I know, right?
You made a character entirely for flavor reasons?
What is this shit?
Are you dying?
I told you in the car. I nerfed myself numerous times making this character.
I know.
Once we're out there, Roach, Buzz, materialize. It's a bug.
I mean, if they've given us their actual names, Ursa would
we would use
call
that.
but
they would have actual names.
if they haven't given us names...
Or they're not pronounceable.
Then they're Roach and Buzz.
I'm just going to assume that you guys didn't even bother asking.
Okay.
And that's why you named them this. They're beautiful creatures from my understanding. And you named them Roach and Buzz.
To be fair, my name is less denigrating than Roach.
Ursa?
No,
Buzz.
no. Buzz.
Mm.
Buzz is less denigrating than Roach.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but they have to like me.
On that note, they arrive, but it takes a few moments longer than normal.
Alright.
As
Hey!
they pop in and... Yeah, you stroking it doesn't help. I'm still kind of annoyed with you. Where are we off to?
We're off to the north, towards the mountains. I will actually stay low and kind of keep through just over the forest until we get a little further out and then launch up. Rapidly translating over the terrain, soaking wet as the mist of the morning impacts us and we have to wipe it away from our eyes. The sun gleaming in the distance, poking out from some dark storm clouds.
Are you riding below or above the cloud line?
Let's go above the cloud line.
Okay. So as you ascend, you see that scene a little bit, and you clearly see the mountains in the northwest, distant as they are, but between where you currently are at and there, you see patches of forests, but largely farmland. But you get further out and you can see lone structures just slowly dotting the area.
Freeholds, independent farmers, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you ascend above the cloud line and
Scenery is...
it's that lovely, just lovely white clouds from your perspective. The sun is slowly rising through the air.
I say prayers to the unconquered sun, thanking him for his glorious sunrise.
I forgot you're basically a priest.
It's literally the Zenith shtick.
It's something that Ursa puts up with.
It's something your storyteller puts up with.
I had a vision of the unconquered sun. He was cool, man.
He had a convertible.
Four-armed guy in a convertible. Shining.
That's fair.
Combing his hair with a switchblade comb as he's driving.
So, yeah, beautiful. I mean, I think on several levels I would appreciate flying above the cloud line. 1, less moisture. 2, unfiltered view of the sun. And 3, it helps hide us from people who are watching. I'm not super concerned about it, but you never really know.
Well, neither am I, but, you never really want a dragon-blooded interrupting your monster hunt.
Exactly. I mean, tracking us when we literally go above the cloud line becomes a problem, but...
Yeah. I mean, considering what Ursa did to the last dragon-blooded they encountered, I'm not too worried about it. It's just kind of annoying.
So, we fly for hours.
I believe it was about 8 hours is what the map said. Mm-hmm. Even though to you guys it has relatively been the same the whole time, with maybe a patch where you can see down below, here and there.
Cloud breaks, right?
I mean, the sun travels for 8 hours roughly, and that's really the only change. And then,
the position of the sun.
Yeah, but then you guys slowly start to descend as your goddess let you know to hold on.
I'm picturing we get to roughly where we're going to, and then grab on around the thing as best I can as it starts spiraling almost in the direction of the mountain.
The grapple light on the back of the thorax lights up.
Don't scream it to death. It'll be very sad.
Yeah, so falling damage is bad.
Ursa is not planning on doing anything bad to Buzz.
The only reason that he's still able to maintain altitude.
Yeah. I don't have that charm we were talking about. So.
Oh, the one where you can
Yeah, basically.
And get up.
Fall from a great height and get up.
You see more of the same landscape, except the mountains are much closer this time.
Weird.
Actually, you know what, now that I think about it, I'm sure that the mountaintops peaks were peeking through the cloud cover.
Oh,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you guys would have noticed that was getting closer. But then you see like a fairly old and well-worn but smaller path kind of jut off from that, going up to like the base of these mountains.
I follow it visually.
And I'm going to go ahead and say that they're like Alaska mountains in the summertime at this point, where it's just like it's got that all
scrubland.
Yeah, scrubland. Thank you. That's what I was trying to get at.
Okay.
Mostly scrubland at this point. There's higher up on the mountains. There's certainly snow still. The rest is just all soggy and wet.
So, Flydia got look down the direction of the path. Obviously, from high altitude, we can see we've got a great view of the overall path and everything, and try to figure out, all right, so there's where the shrine would be, and it was in the general vicinity. So let's go fly closer to the shrine.
Okay. Go ahead and roll perception plus awareness, both of you.
7.
Good lord. Oh, wow.
6 dice. Except that one.
Yeah, you got 2 10s, that's why. Gotcha.
5.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well...
2 10s and a 7.
You guys knew that this particular shrine was likely to have pilgrims. It's the middle of the day, and you actually, as you're kind of descending, you see pilgrims along the path. They have not noticed you. You're too far away, and they're not looking up in the sky because...
Why would they?
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
Eagles and other things.
It's a group about, from your distance, between 5 and 10. It's a little bit hard to tell, but it's not an overly large group.
Okay.
They're all wearing dark cloaks, so they just look like dark dots on this path of scrubland going up to this mountainous shrine.
Okay. And so we see that, and we're looking around. I don't see a big, giant, dog-like thing, right? The fact that it's big would make it easier to see from the air. And if there's not a lot of scrubland, then there's not a lot of places to hide.
That's true. That was not what I was originally, but I like where this is going, so...
Oh, God.
The pilgrims are about to get attacked by a giant terror beast.
And part of it is, it was just like quick span of the land, being like, okay, well obviously there's people there, so we kind of want to try to avoid them seeing this, so you're being proactive about that. But then up the mountain range, you see something, a group of what you would imagine would be wolves. Again, it's hard to tell by the distance, but there's movement up there. They're still quite a ways away from the pilgrims, but it looks like they seem to be at least aware of them. Not 100% sure if they're stalking them just yet.
I don't know if those guys are good or bad, but let's go see if we can swoop in and save the day.
Buzz, take me in.
They will pick up their pace based off of what you guys are saying, like your urgency of, hey, we want to go take them out now, makes them fly a little bit faster than their endurance long distance flying.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are, as you're flying in, you're seeing this pack coming down the mountain.
Are they all huge or are they regular sized?
There's one that is clearly huge.
I think I see the alpha.
He's mine.
Only if he doesn't choke on me first.
Your job is to distract the other wolves. Keep them from eating everybody else as they gnaw on you.
As we're shooting down, my sword, almost like it has a life of its own, flings out of the cloth that I have. It just zooms straight out. And as we're spiraling down, because I'm picturing doing one of these, as we're beelining for it, the sword just kind of lands in my hand. And I just start pulling it out in charge position.
The cloth that it was wrapped in starts to
flail in the breeze.
And almost become a cape as you're doing these moves going in. Okay. I'm assuming you guys aren't being particularly sneaky.
No,
okay. Excellent. Is there anything that you specifically want to...
Not particularly. At this point, what Ursa's getting ready to do is, as they're diving down towards the wolves, he's bracing to jump off of the wasp and tackle the huge wolf.
Oh, nice.
and immediately initiate a grapple.
Okay. So we're basically getting right into combat, which you guys are initiating. They are not surprised. So those few seconds that you still have, what would you like to do?
I activate Diamond Body Prada, which is a simple action, and lasts for the scene for 5 minutes.
The pilgrims are walking up this path. There's kind of like almost a sheer little cliff, and then a small, soft slope going down the mountain. And this great terror and its pack are just barreling down this cliff as if they're getting ready to jump off and wail on these pilgrims. That is the scene. You guys will be close enough to get into combat at that point, so we'll be in short range band.
Okay. That's a simple move into an attack, like within one turn. We don't need to do a rush or anything like that.
Correct. And you guys have been rushing this whole time, so you notice that and you're making a beeline for it.
Right.
Let's go ahead and roll join battle. Yay, first combat.
Atlas is first. So thematically, I'm on the back of the wasp, and I've actually hopped up, so I'm almost surfing on it. The sword with the flying silver dream in my right hand, I pull out, I've got the straight sword in my left, and I basically were beelining it at it on the wasp, and just as we hit, and the wasp was basically ramming one of the wolves, I leap off and impale it in the back with both swords at the same time, sending up spurts of blood as I
you get ready
nail it to the ground.
So
wait, this is withering, I suppose, if it's withering. So that's what I attempt to do, I guess, is how we would...
You want to pin one of the wolves...
literally through to the ground.
Okay, I'm going to say that's definitely a 1-point stun.
And this is Wolf 1, I suppose? Because I need it 1.
Yeah, we'll make it simple. It's Wolf 1.
6, 7, 8, 9 to hit. And that would be against their parent? Or dodge, whichever.
It is going to attempt to dodge.
I have inflicted 7 initiative damage to it.
So you've crashed the first wolf.
Okay.
Surging down your Agata right into this wolf, both blades drawn. You jump off it as the Agata dissipates into a bubble of immaterial eyes, launching you at this wolf, and you pin it easily to the side of the mountain. As you can see, the other wolves kind of starting, they're still in front of you. But the Great Terror is behind you at this point.
And I pull the 2 swords out, and I look around at the other ones. Who wants them? I feel like some Korean tonight.
They may not be able to give you any after what I'm going to do. Buzz is flying down with Ursa directly towards the wolf pack. And what Ursa's going to do is, once he's about 8 feet or so above them, he's actually going to push off of Buzz to get a bit more momentum, jump, and then tackle the Great Terror, gripping it around the neck like this, and that'll be stage 1. Holy shit.
That's reassuring.
Well, I need to save all these because I'm going to be using it as a charm later, but, yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
I'm guessing you hit.
You very much hit. In fact, just as the Great Terror is barreling down this cliff to chomp down and dive itself right into these pilgrims.
So the pilgrims will absolutely see this.
Oh yeah, you guys are very close to them. You literally just, it goes, as you grab it around the neck and dig your feet into the cliff before it could even jump, using its momentum at the ground to tear into these pilgrims.
Okay.
So you successfully distracted it so far.
Yes.
Now let's see if the gambit goes off.
Yes. Now I roll my initiative, 6 dice for the gambit. The gambit does in fact go off.
Good.
That's
5 successes.
That costs you a certain number of initiative.
It cost me 3.
Okay.
Now for the control roll, but there's a charm I want to use for this, which is Oak Curling Clinch. I got 9.
I got 4. So you win.
He gets 5 as your...
Yep, 5 rounds of control. Essentially, what's going to happen now is I spend 6 motes, 1 willpower, and he has the Great Terror gripped around the neck.
Yes.
And using the momentum from the initial tackle, essentially he spins around a couple of times and hurls the Great Terror with supernatural force right back towards its pack.
Towards me.
I think you'll be fine.
I'm sure.
Because it is on a slant, so he can aim it up as you're bowling.
Alright, 17 withering damage to the primary target.
Okay.
And then
You crash him.
6 successes for that.
Okay.
Against each of them, or do you do it individually?
Against each of them. There's the one attack, and then the damage is applied separately.
Okay. So their evasion, I assume, would count.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as they see the Great Terror incoming, as you threw it at them.
I lightly do a backflip and avoid the Great Terror bowling into them.
So you're -4 from that.
Okay.
Ursa's now definitively the winner based on initiative damage, partially because of the initial attack and partially because of all the other shockwave stuff.
Yes.
Good Lord.
And that's setting me up for stage 2.
All right.
Does that happen next round?
That happens on my next initiative pass.
So, next up is the Great Terror.
Who's crashed. So right now it's going to attempt to gain initiative back. Oh my goodness, I don't think it can, but it will try.
Hey, it could if it reverses John.
Oh my gosh. I don't think it can do anything like that. You bowl the Great Terror into the other wolves, catching one of them in like this rolling mass. The other two, both barely making it, diverting off from behind this as their pack leader like rolls up the mountain with the other one. It stops, the Great Terror stops its momentum and growls at you. And
I think you just drew aggro from everything.
That's fine. That was my plan.
And it's going to start barreling down the mountain and leap. That move that it was going to do at the pilgrims is going to go straight for you, trying to knock you off the center of balance.
So as it leaps at me, cinematically what that looks like is he's just standing there waiting for the charge, completely still until it gets within range. And he essentially grabs it by the scruff and forces its head to the side.
5 damage to Ursa, and +5 to the Great Terror, who is still crashed.
Yeah, he is.
And John is down to 34 so far. And then wolf number 3.
So that one went straight for you, trying to push you off balance, but with how mountainous you are, you basically like stand still and whereas the other ones are coming in from the sides to flank and bite at you.
Hey, it hurt you.
1.
Alright, so he's down to 33.
Okay, and then the other one, so one flanked in from the left, the other one's coming in at the right.
Okay.
Doesn't do anything. Alright, and then the last one that was rolling with the wolf is going to slip past Atlas and basically attempt to nip at
So all of them are on him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
Woo, one more.
Alright, so that was wolf number. That was the one I crashed. No.
The one that you crash is still with you.
Okay.
And then the last one's actually going to... You managed to pin it down to the mountainside. It's going to wriggle free, like back squish, wriggle, and then quickly hop to all fours and go for the meat of your thigh.
As it's coming at me, I basically do the back end of the sword, both swords, kind of flip them both up at the same time, and knee it in the face. Like, so it's coming from my haunch, and it's going to get a hard knee.
Okay.
And the two swords are going to knock it out of the way first.
Gotcha.
It's still very much a parry.
Yes, I like that. You definitely have beaten this wolf back as you did exactly what you did. You flipped it up and then hard, let's say kick, because that makes more sense to me. And right in the muzzle, and it makes that screeching noise, whining noise as you knock it back on its back to the mountainside.
Okay. Well, now Ursa gets to kill the Great Terror.
Yeah, go for it,
Back
buddy.
around to me? Okay. Alright. We're going to initiate another grapple. Ursa stops it by gripping its upper and lower jaws to initiate the grapple.
So you got 2 rounds of control.
Alright. And with this, he's going to make a savaging, decisive attack.
Okay, gotcha. This is where it's gonna end.
Yep. And what he's going to do is he's going to rip in opposite directions with the wolf's jaw.
There's a picture in the book of this, basically.
Alright, so you get 32 dice. I don't know... Is this a savage?
Yes, it is. I spent the 3 initiative, so I'd actually be 29.
Correct.
Well, I did 2 health levels past it.
Yes.
It's a little hurt.
Oh, it's bleeding and unconscious.
You have definitely unhinged its jaw.
Yep.
It has all the penalties and also is unconscious.
Alright, Atlas. You have one of the wolves.
Yeah, and I'm just like... I saw that out of the corner of my eye and I'm like... Well, I can't top that. You got the only one that matters.
You'd help me clean up. Also, you can do the killing stroke to this thing.
That's true.
Unless I'm just going to punch it until it's dead.
So let me ask you this. Do you want to particularly wound the wolf that is in front of you?
I pretty much dominated this thing.
Yeah. So I'm asking, what do you want to do? But I already have their next action in mind.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just launch myself at the big one and chop its head off.
Is it? I mean, it's not going to be anything contested at this point. So.
No, it's me disappearing, zooming towards it, and basically up in the air with my sword down and running it across its neck, and then doing a cartwheel and landing on my feet on the other side.
All right.
Which I will use kill stealing technique, also referred to as Thunderbolt attack product.
Excellent.
Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's doubles, so 18 lethal.
Awesome.
Literally takes that up.
Yeah.
If we're coming out of combat, then basically I land, pick up a stick, and through some rather artistic jiggling of things, I whittle the top of the stick real fast. Like, I just do the one stroke to make it a sharp point, and then the head's flying through the air, stick the stick in the ground right where it's about to land.
All right.
Show off.
The other wolves, seeing that their leader has been decapitated, run in opposite directions, scattering up the mountainside, leaving both you and the pilgrim group alone.
I address the pilgrim group.
Ursa's going to be dusting off his hands, turning around, and then realizing that there's a group of people there.
There's witnesses. Yeah.
You realize that there are people behind you when they make horrified gasps, only partially seeing movement above them, since it was like a sheer cliff, more like a ledge. And there's about 10 people down below. Now that you're closer, you can see them.
Mm-hmm. So I'm picturing the head being very visible from the edge as it lands on the stick.
A few of the women kind of whimper as they are startled and frightened by something that,
at the very least, was unexpected.
yes.
You're such a show-off, Atlas. And he's going to be dusting his hands, turns around, and... Oh. Hi.
You see a few of the men in the group, we'll say it's about 4 men and 3 women plus a couple of kids.
Okay.
You see that the men in the group have gone for their weapons, kind of not sure what to make of the situation, and they are very tense.
Like I said, I sheathed my weapon, and I'll put up in hand. Do not worry, we have stopped the monster before it could get to you. Making it clear that we are, between my sheathing the weapon, which is a universal sign of, don't worry, we're not attacking, and letting him know, hey, this could have gone another way, which would probably make them a little bit more worried in the short term, but longer term, more well-disposed to us, maybe.
It's the way that I see it right now is their reflexes are so slow.
Oh, absolutely.
Compared to you guys, that it's just like as they are going to that and seeing you do this, it's that moment of confusion and they're grasping what just happened.
So I have my hand held up and I'm basically waiting for the recognition to process for them as they're still kind of reaching for their weapons.
One of the women, actually steps forward and put her hands together in a praying motion and do a bow, bringing her fingertips to her forehead. Thank you, kind sirs, for saving us.
You are very welcome. I understand that this road is dangerous. Hopefully it will be less so, and you will have a safe journey on your way to the shrine. Speaking of which, I think it would be very appropriate for us to show our respects at the shrine. Don't you think so, Ursa? It would be a valid...
He just grunts in response.
It would be a valid opportunity to ensure they encounter no more trouble.
The group kind of just collectively sighs in relief, and one of the men will step forward, and we intend to be at the shrine before night falls. You are welcome to join us and pay respects to our ancestors.
The shrine that you're going to, I believe I've heard of it. The Shrine of the Red Lotus. I understand that this place is a place where you may, as you said, honor your ancestors. I have also heard that it is a place where the world meets the underworld.
The group shares looks between each other quickly, as you mentioned, basically Shadowland.
As long as you take proper precautions, which I'm sure you're aware of, Shadowlands don't have to be dangerous. I say this to Ursa, but I don't say it quietly.
Ursa just continues staring at him.
I'm sure there's the ghost of the terror hound that you just dispatched. You might be able to go for round 2. I say as a joke.
We escorting these folks or what?
Yes.
Alright.
Are you just gonna leave the terror, what do they call it?
Great Terror.
Great Terror, thank you.
Well, the way you described it is the first kind of patchy and it's kind of mangy, so he's not too thrilled about the potential condition of this hide. He's like, nah, we're good. Plus, they can just leave it there as like a warning to the other wolves.
Actually, now that I think about it, I did have a time-sensitive plan for the head. So what I think I'll say is we will, instead of escorting you, we will go ahead to the shrine and ensure that it is safe. I do have a question for you.
Before you say that, though, they kind of look around, and actually it'll be one of the kids. Where'd you guys come from?
We were actually hunting this. Somebody had told us about it. We decided to come make the area safer. It was very fortunate happenstance that we came upon them, just as they were coming upon you.
Well, the woman that bowed earlier looks to you a little bit more comfortable now that you guys are... Please, we'd love to show you our hospitality and our rituals as we go up the road. If you are unfamiliar with them, it could be more dangerous for you.
That would be very kind. I would be very interested to hear all you have to teach.
So you guys climb down, jump down the cliff, flip down the little ledge that is as tall as you.
Let's say, basically what he would end up doing is like putting a palm down at the edge and kind of just hopping down, landing with a little bit of a crouch before standing back at his full height.
And you just have the 3 kids looking at you with wide eyes, and they've never really seen someone like you. I mean, not just your size, but also like...
Everything.
The armor, this isn't the word I was looking for, but the aura that you emanate. Actually, one of the kids will approach you just so shocked by you that they just want to touch you.
He won't react negatively. His eyes will just kind of follow the kid as he gets closer.
It just touches your...
like my shin.
Yeah, basically your shin, just kind of as one of the moms will be as pulling the kid back, kind of looking at you in fear.
So the priestess, I'll talk to her as we go.
Okay.
And I would like to know, and I ask casually, obviously you're on a pilgrimage, you're clearly religious folk who care about the gods and the ancestors and what have you. Otherwise you wouldn't be bothering to make such a pilgrimage. I'll kind of phrase it in I'm quite sure you're aware that the Immaculate Order tends to frown on ancestor worship.
This is the very nature of our people. It is important to pay our respects. Yes, we do keep it quiet as much as we can, but our ways are more important than those that are imposed on us.
I thoroughly agree with you. I wish more people would ascribe to the old ways. There's a reason things were a certain way. Things have degraded since they've changed. But I absolutely believe that we should respect the gods and give them their due. They were placed in positions of authority for a reason. And while I don't subscribe to the Immaculate Order or the Immaculate Philosophy, I do think that honoring them with your prayers would be the correct course. I didn't always believe this as I was a young man. I grew up poring through books and history and matters of the occult. I came to understand that they're part of a system. That system is what sustains us. The gods don't do their part. And the water poisons or turns black. The wild invades. The very structures which we live our lives are broken.
I see your point that you're making, real basically.
Autos exist. Yes.
I mean, it's not...
I'm not being harsh.
No, you're not being harsh. You're using a line of logic that makes sense to her. You were correctly made an assumption. You need to roll something to technically instill.
Charisma plus presence, and I will throw in 3 dice of charm. And it's against her resolve.
3.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. By the way, Unconquered Sun, he's the best guy. Just saying. I don't... Sorry, that was me being stupid.
Okay, thank you. Because I'm like, oh man, you're breaking my brain. Because this is all stuff... I didn't realize that you were going to be going this route.
Being talky and priestly?
Yeah, in all of our conversations, you did not bring this particular aspect up at all. So I didn't really think about... No, this is totally fine and totally works. I'll just have to have it mapped out a little bit more for the region next time.
I don't just fight monsters. I preach the good news.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so... You guys are walking up the mountainside, and you're making your point specifically to her, but you're also speaking.
Oh, I'm definitely talking to the whole group.
At first it was this slow, like everyone's kind of talking amongst themselves, and you're having this conversation, but your presence just kind of emanates throughout the group, and
I'm so likable. They hang on my every word.
Yeah, everybody stops having their own conversations, and they're listening to you, and they start asking questions about. What do you mean? And like, what kind of order are you talking about? Like, they're aware that there's, the gods have a place, and the Immaculate Order does put them in their place. But obviously, you're talking about something very different. That question would specifically come from the priestess. Also, like as you're walking up. You notice her specifically doing certain motions, and she has like a pouch tied around her skirts. She just occasionally sticks her hands in and pulls out and just kind of sprinkles it, some kind of white, you could assume salt.
I was going to say, I have a cult 5.
Along the path as you guys are going up. And occasionally she'll mutter under her breath.
I'll take note of it. I won't reference it directly, but I'm pretty sure in character I know what she's doing, and she's doing rites to try to protect them. And so I'm going to ask them, I guess, collectively. From a social combat standpoint, the way this mechanically works is she is the leader of the group. I think I take a 3-die penalty or something for addressing an overall group, but it bases off the leader's resolve. I'd have to look at it more specifically, but I just the generalities there. Now that I have them being like, yep, it's good to honor the gods. To the kids, I think this would be addressed to. Do you know who the highest of the gods is?
Each one in turn starts to shout out answers, and one of the kids shouts out, Vahoran, which you would know that is the Battle Crow.
Battle Crow.
Yeah, he's one of the twin gods of war in the north. Another one will shout out Nasamura, the Falcon of Glory. And then the last one will say a lightning god of some sort.
Thodin.
Thodin?
Well, actually, the highest gods are the 5 maidens, who all each represent a star, Luna, and the highest of all of them is the Unconquered Sun. Technically, the Immaculate Order doesn't preach against them, so much as they ignore their existence.
Okay, so
the anathema are a different matter entirely.
But it's basically the pantheon. Okay.
Yeah, so it's the difference of reaction between, like, going to a Catholic church and saying, hey kids, have you heard about Buddha? Or, basically just explaining, have you heard the Gospel of Bob?
Gotcha.
Probably confusion and a little bit of interest as opposed to outright offense.
Gotcha. That was a good way to break that down. Thank you.
I'm glad you appreciated that.
And you know, I think the official line from the Immaculate Order is they absolutely do exist, but they don't give a shit about us.
Not inaccurate.
And so they don't really highlight them. Now, that doesn't mean the kids would correctly answer the question. It just means... Because they would be more likely to name people they've actually heard of or who do things. So I answered that. And I'm watching the priest and seeing how she reacts to that. Anyway, it's one of those pieces where I'm obviously walking and talking. This is over the course of a longer period of time. Mm-hmm. There is one little element that I will probably also engage with, is the idea of ancestor worship. I would affirm that it's wise to worship one's ancestors. Wise to honor one's ancestors. It's probably better to let the dead rest. I attempt to persuade her. How long is this trek? You said it's like another 8 hours to the shrine?
I didn't specify.
Okay, how long was it?
You would have found this out asking the group as you're kind of weaving up slowly up the side of the mountain. One of the gentlemen would have pointed it out, and it's like you can almost see. It does. You can almost see it because it actually has lights. It's lit.
Okay, there's like there's a building up there or something.
Yeah.
Somebody tends the shrine.
Your best gauge is probably another 2 hours walking.
Okay. So let's say after about an hour is when I would attempt this, so we're still a little ways out.
Okay.
7.
Okay, so you were trying to lessen the worshipping...
the ancestor spirits and let them rest. I'm leaning on their... If they have an intimacy towards respecting the ancestor, to help them erode the respect for the ancestor, or not respect, but worship of their ancestor. I make a distinction, and then... Also,
during this time, you see that she goes silent and starts to question basically her choices in life and figuring out her own personal resolve with that.
And Ursa's trudging
At this point,
along.
Ursa has tuned him out entirely, and instead is just making sure there are no other threats coming upon the party. And depending upon how interested the kids have remained in him, he may have allowed them to ride on his shoulders.
Aww.
Unfortunately, one of the moms is keeping the kids away from you specifically.
And that's fine.
You are scary.
Everybody except kids, apparently.
That's how kids sometimes... Well, you're not attacking anybody, right? So
no.
You're the big cuddly teddy bear.
Next time on Games of Divinity, a Northern Chronicle.
Becca gets a 2 dice stunt.
I'm not rolling anything, but thanks.
How far down is the drop?
I like your thinking.
I'm asking for a friend.
Oh boy, you just pissed it off. Good job. Proud of you.
You just realized the wolves weren't wolves, they were great terror pups.
He's gonna have to kill a bunch of pilgrims who try and string him up for heresy.